Hola, mi clase. So we are doing the next section, 13.2. It is volume of cones. So I can know and use the formula for volume of cones. So down below, we gave you the volume of cones. So it is volume equals 1/3 of the area of the base times the height. Okay, so remember that big B, that capital B, is really area of base. And this height, H is height, right? So we then just give you volume is 1/3. Here's my B, right? Volume of the base is still a circle of a cone. And then the height will be from the circle to the tip of the cone. So it's almost identical to cylinders, except we just take 1/3 of it. And there is a relationship between that, and that's because if I take a cylinder and fill it with 3 cones that have the exact same radius and the exact same height, it will fill it, okay? And I'll kind of show you that tomorrow in class. All right, so we're going to find the volume of each cone. We're going to round our answer to the nearest tenth, and we're going to use 3.14 as pi. So I'm going to set it up. I'm going to go volume equals 1/3 times pi, I'm not going to fill it in yet, times 2 squared, because it did give me the radius, see, half of it, times h. I don't know why I wrote h, I meant 8. So I'm going to go 1/3 times pi, I'm going to leave it alone, times 4 times 8, 1/3 times pi times 32, right? Just going to double check it. I know it's rather check than be wrong. So this is when we're going to have to start using some estimation. So I'm going to go approximately 1/3 times 3.14 times 32. So in my calculator goes 32 times 3.14. I'm going to put it over here. About 1/3 times, it's 100.48. Now, this is where this gets tricky. So instead of always having to type times 1/3, the really nice thing is that if we multiply it across, okay, right, 1 times this, and then put this over 1 and multiply across, we get approximately 100 and 48 hundredths divided by 3. So really all I have to do is push divide by 3. And so we're going to get approximately, and it's 33.493 repeating. So in the end, because it says round to the nearest tenth, I'm just going to go 33 5/10 inches cubed. It's still inches cubed because it's still volume, and I'm still only taking 3 units and multiplying them together. Inches, inches, times inches. So this isn't any different than finding the volume of a cylinder, except at the end, you divide by 3. That's it. That's the extra step, is divide by 3 in the end. So if we look at this one, this is actually the diameter, right? This is not the radius, right? If I wrote here, this would be radius. So since this is the diameter, I have to cut 8 in half before I can start my work, because I need to get the radius. Now that I have my radius, I can go, volume is 1/3 times pi times 4 squared times 9, because that's the height from the circle to the tip of the cone. So let's just change pi right now. 1/3 times 3.14 times 16 times 9. So about 1/3 times 16 times 9, so 3.14, that's really bad, times, come on, pen, 144. I'm going to times that by 3.14, so about 1/3 times 452.16. And then I'm just going to push divide by 3, because that's the same as timesing by 1/3, and we get approximately 150 172 hundredths, but it says round to the nearest tenth, so we're going to go 150 and 7/10 feet cubed. Notice I do not write divide by 3 in any of my problems. This one I did because I multiplied across to show you, right? But technically we are timesing by a third, so it needs to stay as a third, but mathematically you can push divide by 3, okay? But it needs to stay as 1/3 times all of this. That's what the formula looks like. If you notice from the first page or the right above for you guys, it doesn't say this divide by 3. That's not how it's written. It's 1/3. We need to keep it as 1/3. All right, for her geography project, Karen built a clay model of a volcano in the shape of a cone. Her model has a diameter of 12 inches and a height of 8 inches. Find the volume of clay in our model to the nearest tenth. We're going to use 3.14 for pi. So this might be a good place for you to pause and see if you can do this on your own, right? Try it out, see if you can do it. So the first thing we got to do is divide, not 8, I don't know why I'm writing 8, 12 by 2 because it's the diameter. So we're going to get 6 equals the radius. Now that I have that, I can start filling my info in. So volume is 1/3. And honestly, let's do this. I'm going to even start by changing pi right away. So I'm going to put about, because it already tells me I'm going to have to use it. So I might as well just fill it in right away. So about 1/3 times 3.14 times 36 times 8. So about 1/3 times 3.14 times 36 times 8 is 288. I'm just going to double check that because I worry I pushed it twice. Nope. So then I'm going to come over here, about 1/3 times, I'm going to times that by 3.14, 904.32, and then I divide by 3. We get about 301 and 44 hundredths. It says to the nearest tenth, so we're going to say about 301 and 4/10 inches cubed. Alrighty, so volume of a cone is 32 pi inches cubed. What is the diameter of the cone if the height is 6? So this is similar to the types of problems we've been doing in our warm-ups. So 1/3 pi r squared h. I'm going to fill in everything I know. I know the volume is 32 pi. So equals 1/3 pi. I don't know the radius, but I do know the height is 6. So I'm going to divide by pi just to get it out of there. Why not? Oops, I wrote a number sign. Hashtag. So we'll get 32 equals 1/3 times radius squared times 6. I'm going to divide by 6. So I'm going to take 32 and divide it by 6. And I get a really kind of gross decimal. So I'm going to leave that on my calculator. Okay, it's 5.3 repeating. I'm just going to leave it on my calculator. 1/3 times radius squared. Now, when we were doing our problems, we divided by 3 here, right? So the inverse of dividing by 3 is then to times by 3. So I'm just going to leave that on my calculator and write times 3. And what's really nice, when I leave it on my calculator, it knows that it's a repeating decimal, and it gets me 16. So that's what's really nice about leaving it on your calculator. I'm going to then take the square root, and I'm going to get 4 for the radius. Now the question asks for the diameter, so I need to take 4 and times it by 2 to get 8. So the diameter equals 8 inches. All right, so obviously the main thing to remember is our formula. memorize the formula. Super important. Okay, that's the biggest thing right now, is memorizing our formulas. All right, so here's your independent practice. We're going to round to the nearest tenth. Oops, tenth. I'm trying to highlight, but it's not really working. And you're going to use 3.14 for pi. Don't forget to model your work the same way I modeled here, here, and here. I'm looking for the modeled work correctly, please. All right, put it where you need to. All right, until next time, adios.